Good morning everybody and welcome to Jim's 5 a.m. Club. And today I come to you from my absolute favourite location here at Nelson Bay at Port Stephens, and I'm here to show you the sunrise. Let me just tap the screen just to show you. The sun's just coming up there over the horizon. He's just hiding behind a couple of clouds at the moment. Just a few clouds on the horizon, so it's not a perfect sunrise, but it's a 99.9% effort today, and I'm absolutely glad and honoured to be here to make the most of it. All it takes is a decision to get up a little bit earlier, to get in the car, drive down here, and to experience what's known as the magical time, or the magical hour. And that magical hour is half hour before sunrise and half hour after sunrise, and vice versa in the afternoon, half hour before sunset and then half hour after sunset. It's beautiful up here. I'm in my little private secret location, which I love showing all my friends and family. And down behind me, just in case you're not aware, is Shoal Bay, and that little point over there is Halifax Park, and on the other side is Little Beach and Fly Point, and then we've got Nelson Bay over there as well. So today I'd like to take you through a topic which is near and dear to my heart, and it's a topic that I picked up through work. So we get life lessons all over the place, but this life lesson I got through work when I was working at a company called Advantra, which was a subsidiary of Telstra, Lend-Lease and IBM, and it was a massive network outsourcing organisation that was put together just before the tech wreck in 2000. And the objective was to build up this company and sell it off and make an absolute monster. Didn't work out like that, because we had the tech wreck, which basically brought the IT industry to its knees for a little while. Not permanently, but just for a little while. And then I moved on and worked in other organisations. But when I was there, I worked on bids and tenders. And when I talk about bids and tenders, I talk about massive bids and tenders. For example, the outsourcing of the voice and data network for Commonwealth Bank, which was a 10-year contract that we bid for, and it was worth over a billion Australian dollars. So we're talking about big business. Now, when you're working on those sorts of business cases, when you're working on those spreadsheets, you round things down to the million, not to the dollar, not to the $1,000, but to the million. And let me just pause for a second and just show you the sunrise. If you can see in the background, I bring you this with love, because this is special. Sunrises, sunsets, moonrises are just something special. Anyway, so one of the important things that I learnt back then was that when you're bidding for something and there's an incumbent supplier in there, you've got to be very careful, because there's a thing called an asymmetry of information. And an asymmetry of information means that when people are in relationships, when people are doing work for somebody, they have access to more information than what an outsider has. For example, you're going out with somebody and you don't know them, but all their friends know them very well, their ex-partners know them very well, and everybody knows the good and the bad of those people, and you are yet to find those out or to discover them. So it's very important to do your due diligence, and as the Americans call it, due diligence. It's important to do your due diligence on whatever you do, so you don't get surprised later on. So, so this asymmetry of information is very, very powerful. And one of the funny things I always used to say, because before going into a bid, you'd know who the incumbent was, and you'd always say, well, you know, we've got a good chance of winning this or a bad chance of winning this. And on many occasions I'd say, there's absolutely no chance of winning this, because Telstra is the incumbent, and there's no way in the world that they'd let this client go. And then all of a sudden you put your tender in, your bid, you know, your costs, try and be as competitive and as efficient, there's that word, efficient, as possible, cutting costs left, right and centre, thinking that you can improve this and do it better than everybody else. And then all of a sudden you win the tender and you go, how did that happen? How did we beat Telstra, or how did we beat the incumbent in this bid, given that they know what they know? Well, you know where I'm going with this, because the other thing that I learned over the years is that the people who win the tenders tend to be the ones who had the lowest price, and the reason why they had the lowest price was because they got the costs wrong. They didn't foresee all the challenges, all the problems of the relationship, and they ended up going in light on their costs, only to realise when it's all too late that they've bought themselves a big bad headache. And I'll tell you what, once you win a contract, once you win a big contract, and you've realised that you've bought yourself a bloody headache, then you know you're in for big trouble. Because there are some clients out there who absolutely ride their suppliers really hard and grind them into the ground. I've been on many projects that have gone wrong, where things have turned about and the client is riding the supplier, and it's not a good place to be. Because what happens in large organisations where politics is rife is that people just go missing in action. No, the best people go missing in action because they don't want to have their reputations tarnished by a bad project. So you'll often see them pushing or delegating the responsibilities to other people so that they can then blame them for what is going wrong. Let me get the sunrise because it is beautiful. Blame them for what is going wrong. Because in large organisations, it's survival of the fittest. It's not necessarily survival of the best. It's the survival of the most cunning, and the people who know how to steer clear of the problems and just pop up like roses whenever promotions are available. And most importantly, the people who know how to delegate efficiently and then cut those people out of the business once things go wrong. Anyway, so how do we use this to all the young people out there? Asymmetry of information. You know, it happens in the share market. How often I buy shares only to realise that you know, they jump or they fall away because there are some people, and although it's illegal, there are some people who have prior information, who know more about the client, who know more about the organisation than what the market knows. Let me get that sunrise one more time. There's 3 boats going out there and it just looks absolutely fantastic. Just let me get it again. So let me just go on an aside here. A lot of people I know get really excited, and I'm one of them, about the sunsets in Greece. But I've got to tell you, if you're living in Australia on the east coast, there's nothing that comes close to an East Coast sunrise. I've said this before, but I'll say it again. There is nothing, absolutely nothing between me and that sunrise, because if you take a direct line right across there, there is no landmass until you hit South America. So how beautiful is that? Anyway, I'm running out of time, but let's finish up with a positive affirmation. I am well, I'm alive, and I feel great. To all my friends and family, have an awesome Sunday. Stay connected, stay relevant, and most importantly, do your due diligence with all your business relationships, with all your friends, with partners, just to make sure that the relationship that you're getting into is not going to be full of surprises and headaches. It pays to ask a few questions, because love is blind. We hear that all the time. Love is blind, and as I learnt in the outsourcing industry, love is very, very blind. And when you get hooked, when you get connected with a client, and there's a contract which goes for 5 years or 10 years, once you're connected, it's hard. It's hard to get away, it's hard to get support, and it's hard to win back that relationship, because once it sours and there are big stakes, big odds at stake, then both parties, and I mean both parties, dig their heels in, and it gets very, very nasty. Anyway, take care, and from this magnificent sunrise at Mount Tomaree, Port Stephens, I bid you farewell. Have a great rest of the day, and hopefully we can chat again. Remember, tomorrow morning at Jim's 5 a.m. Club. And by the way, this is episode number 101. So stick with me if you can, and we'll have lots of fun. I promise. Take care. Yassas. Bye. And all the very, very best. Yassas. Woohoo!